one, huh?
Two. Fish are on there, you bonehead, and you know damn well I throw back what I'm not gonna eat.
Oh, yeah, like that 40-pound muskie you're always yakking about. It's a shame that nobody ever sees you with these monsters.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another week of Muskies on Tap. We're excited to bring you the 41st episode of the pod here today, and we got some special guests from totally different states, yet they have aligned in some ways with their baits that we're going to be touching on here in the podcast. We're really excited to bring you guys this one. We had a great chat with Brady Martz with Bam Bam Bait Company, and also Brett Wingfield with WF Customs. So without further ado, let's introduce the other hosts on here tonight. I got myself, Gus Manty, along with the other guys. We got Max and Brian. How you boys doing tonight?
Doing good. Feeling better. Kind of came out of the darkness here last few days. Fully recovered, ready to go tonight. Brian, good to see you and your smiling face on with us here this evening. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Had just the best time ever watching that Super Bowl. I mean, just about as underwhelming as I predicted. Of course, Vegas
Dude.
and big networks stepped in and pushed it into OT, make the viewers happy. About all the right home about from there. Oh, second ever Super Bowl that goes in overtime. Big whoop. On to next year. Packers are coming after it all. Let's get into this interview.
You're just a hater, man. You're a T Swift hater. You're a Chiefs hater. I bet you couldn't stand seeing them celebrate together on the podium like that.
TV
Made
was
you
off.
sick.
TV was off.
Yeah.
I didn't have to watch it.
Yeah, it was an interesting one. I mean, underwhelming first half, great finish in my opinion. I thought it was a pretty compelling game for the most part and enjoyed watching it. Gus, did you catch any in the Super Bowl?
I actually was kind of just editing some videos during the first half. I went to go watch second
Good
half. I didn't
choice.
even know what the hell the score was, and seemed like a pretty underwhelming first half. But you know, despite what Brian just said, I fairly enjoyed the second half of that game for the most part. I mean, some of the commercials were aight. They've kind of
Dude,
gone
they're
downhill
bad.
anyways.
Bring back good commercials.
I don't know.
They're
There was
just
there was like
bad.
two. I don't remember what they were, but you know, the one gripe I got that probably is why they're so bad. They're all, every single one, it's like a contest of how many celebrities they can put on in one commercial.
Yeah.
That's what it seems like.
I don't get it.
It's ridiculous.
I mean, what'd you guys think of the halftime show? I mean, I was like, why the hell are we still bringing on Usher? This guy's been relevant in a decade.
I mean,
Gotta be
Ursher,
someone better than that.
I texted
Ursher, baby.
I texted our family group chat. I was like, "Dad, did you survive the halftime show?" Once Usher went tarps off, I was like, every single middle-aged man in their living room right now is just sitting
Oh,
there
come
going, "What the
on.
hell am I watching?"
Get this
God,
shit
yeah,
off.
he wasn't
Up there
he wasn't-
dancing like freaking male stripper.
He didn't seem amused. Seemed like mom had a good message about the roller skates. She enjoyed that, I guess.
Yeah,
I mean, Alicia was doing her thing up there. I'll say that. She's
Facts.
looking as good as ever.
Yeah.
Singing great, you know.
deny that.
Who,
Yeah.
Usher?
No, Alicia
Nah,
Keys.
Alicia.
Oh,
Yeah,
I didn't know
Aging
you were
like
talking
fine
about, dog.
wine.
Lil Jon, Ludacris, honestly, were my two MVPs of the halftime.
Yeah, when
That's
LJ
true.
pulled
Luda-
up, I was like, what's happening here?
Yeah, Luda kind of came in hot. That was a good little fire, some spitting some rhymes as he does.
Facts.
Spitting some rhymes. Yeah, that's no, it was good. I mean, it's an event. Glad the game was close at least, obviously. I think like Packer fans, I felt like it was kind of a mixed bag. Like, I don't think a lot of people really wanted the Niners to win, but I think there's kind of this like Chiefs and Taylor Swift
Or just
nausea
a
that-
Chiefs dynasty. People want someone else to win.
Yeah, just felt like there was I had no like feeling towards the end result. Like it could have
No.
gone either way, and I don't think I would have really.
Right.
Usually even if I don't care about either team, like in overtime, I'll kind of get the heart pumping a little bit.
Yeah,
You know, eventually you kind
right.
of develop a love for one or the other. I couldn't give two shits. I mean, my resting heart rate, I could have fallen asleep.
Yeah, I'm kind of right there with you. I was watching and like I was just kind of like, all right, cool, good for the Chiefs. I mean, Romo, like, dude, I mean, we can't throw any shade here because we're not great at the whole interview and whatever yet, and whatnot. But like Romo's a broadcaster. I mean, I couldn't believe how he set up that final play. Like you could have thought it was just a normal 2nd and 7 in the second quarter.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, next thing you know,
I know.
confetti's popping. It's like, what just happened? Like, I don't think anyone knew really what was going on.
I thought there was a flag or a whistle before the play. It's kind of like stood there.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
crazy. All right. Well, anyways, enough football chatter here, and honestly, we're done for it for the year. So we're turning our heads towards Muskie
The
season.
Masters.
Yeah, well, man, yeah, that too. March Madness and the Masters, but more importantly, Muskie season is it's slowly approaching.
Bait buying season.
Yeah, bait buy. Oh, good call. Bait buying season is upon us, and no better time than to have an interview with two amazing bait makers. So, Gus, why don't you tee up that interview, and we'll catch you guys after.
Sweet. Let's get after it. All right, everybody. We got two special guests on here on the call tonight. We got Brady Martz with Bam Bam Bait Company over in Western Pennsylvania. And we also have Brett Wingfield with WF Custom Baits over in southern Minnesota area as well. So how are you guys doing tonight?
Doing awesome. Awesome tonight. Thank you, man.
All good over here. Excited to be on. Love the show.
Awesome.
Good to hear.
Gotta love that. Taking that from the Hunks playbook. I
Old
think that's
Nate.
Nate.
Old Nate, bud. Yep.
Yep.
Borrowed
Yep.
one.
Well, for the listeners here, which mainly is Midwest, we definitely have some listeners from all over, but we're bringing on Brady here for sure to talk about his baits until he's going to be at the Wausau Expo coming up in March for all the Midwesterners, Illinois, Minnesota, Wisconsin that are able to get out to that. And then also Brett, a little more, under the radar, handmade, small batch making bait company. So, and this is new to us, having two, guests on at the same time, but so maybe take turns just kind of telling something about yourself and going into small detail on your baits, and then we'll go from there. So Brett, if you want to start.
Me, I think
Yeah.
Brady's guest of honor. No, I'm happy to. I've just been doing this for kind of a short time. I've been building a few different baits. I started building bucktails probably 5-6 years ago, and just kind of came out of the idea of wanting to catch something on something I made, and just started playing with that, and then I can go into stories, but this could take forever. But I had one significant event that came up, and I had been muskie fishing quite a bit with a buddy, and he had a bait that I absolutely fell in love with the minute I saw it in the water. And it was just something I had to have, and basically found out that I couldn't get it. I was told, no, there's no way you're going to get your hands on one of those. It's just not going to happen. And I contacted the builder of the bait, and he just happened, he picked up the phone, which was odd. And he said, it's weird because I haven't built that bait in a long time, but I just found an old box of blanks, and I had one in it. And he said, I'll build you one. That was in like November. And I was shocked. Didn't ask the price, didn't care. And it came about May, and that bait got done, and he sent it to me. And I had the postal service tracking on my phone. So I was at work, came to my house, and it said it had been delivered. I left work, and in 35 minutes, it was gone. Package was gone. Never
No.
contact builder. He was devastated too. He's like, I don't know what to tell you. He did say that the one thing about it was he had never painted that bait in that color. So if it ever turns up, it's very identifiable. Anyway, I was heartbroken. I went quite a while, and my buddy's like, he couldn't believe I got one. Then when it didn't show up, he's like, yeah, right. So we went on for a while, and he's like, why don't you just build one? Like, I don't know the first thing about that. And so backing up a little bit, I'm a taxidermist by trade, and that's what I've been doing forever. And so it's like, well, I can carve a fish. That's what we do. I can probably paint.
And you can definitely paint.
I can.
Yep.
I can play with epoxy. I can do that stuff. So anyway, I built one, and it just went from there. And I was like, holy crap, this is fun. The first time I had it in the water, the guy that I had got the idea of the other bait from was like, I don't even want you to paint it. Put epoxy on it. Give it to me raw wood. I want it. Like, no, but thanks. And we just went from there. So yeah, that's kind of how I got into it.
Was this like a dive and rise, a glide bait? Okay, dive and rise bait.
Yeah, dive and rise bait, big dive and rise bait, and that just was the thing. So
that's what your design is kind of after, with like that front bill and then the back adjustable wing thing. I think you got. Yeah.
Back end. Well, that one's colored, but yeah, just a metal tail on the back end. I put it up here. And it's not all stuck, but yeah, it's just a dive and rise bait. The tail can be tuned just like a Suic, that's got, I'd call it like a hybrid. You can run it just like a Suic, or it's got a lot of action to it too, depending on what you do with the bait. You can get it to hop, or you can really get it to wobble.
So real quick, do you think that if this bait shows up at your door and it doesn't get lost, that you ever go down this road of trying to make your own baits?
I don't know, man. I've asked myself that question many, many times. And the only thing I can come up with was it was supposed to be this way.
Yeah.
Reason. It's a sickness. It's definitely a sickness. I know, Brady, you built some wood baits too before you got to your bait, and it's addicting.
I do miss the painting. I do miss some of the woodworking, but the amount of fish these rubbers are catching, I'm gonna keep pouring rubber for now.
Yeah, let's get into it, Brady. So how did Bam Bam come about?
Same thing. I just started painting, got a few blanks off some buddies that make some custom lures, painting, epoxy, learning that whole process. And honestly, I wanted a rubber bait. I know what I like out of rubber, and I figured, why not just make my own? And I came up with the idea in my head, got my master done, and started from there. And then it was all in the harness work. All my baits, I make two different sizes, a deep and a shallow, and my large size, which overall length is 18 inches stretched out. Sounds huge, but it's really not that big body wise, because my bodies are a lot more like slender. Mm-hmm. I wanted that. So it would cut through the water better, to have extreme head drop. Every one of my baits, even my shallows, they'll hang at the top and then just straight head drop. And any other rubber I throw, I'm adding head weight, either directly to the front hook or to the line tie itself, and as big a weight as I can put on it, pretty much. Because even my shallow, I love that I can work it slower, work it over top of weeds, but I still have the head drop. And I don't know what it is, if it's just the way I work rubber, but that's what always gets me my strikes, is that head drop. And they're 90% of the time head first.
Yeah. And did you have a background in anything remotely close to this, bait making, I guess, industry that got you started it, or do you just start from scratch?
No, I literally just started from scratch.
That's crazy. That's awesome.
Yeah, and I make I made some lipless crankbaits, like musky size lipless crankbaits. I enjoyed them. I caught fish on them. They just never seemed to. They didn't catch as many fish. They were more of a specific time of the year. And then just with rubber, I throw rubber 99.9% of the time when I'm fishing. Like I'm a rubber guy by heart. That's all there is to it. So I figured, why not make something that I'm going to throw all the time? So I came out with, now I have 2 different sizes. I'm sure there's more coming down the line, different designs, different sizes. For now, I can't keep up with these ones right now, though. So we'll see how this all keeps going.
That's a good problem.
I was gonna say that is a great problem, and then I know how we have Brett tied into this as well, is that you have some pretty sweet paint jobs. And I was gonna ask you, Brett, where or when did the painting come about for you? Because I know you said taxidermist by trade, carving wood and all that stuff, but your paint jobs on your diving rides, and now a few different types of lures that I see that you're kind of trying out are pretty spectacular, like outstanding. And then also the ones that you put on Brady's Bam Bam Bowfins are pretty cool. So if you want to touch on that.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a hard question for me because it's just something I've kind of always done. I've competed in the taxidermy world for a lot of years, and that was kind of what pushed me to take taxidermy to a different level. And I've judged taxidermy now at kind of every level of competition, and one thing that I really push is depth and realism and artistry, and that's just I started taxidermy in 1996, so been doing it ever since in one capacity or another. So yeah, painting baits was just super fun because nobody could look at them and say that's wrong. Like, yeah, it just
Right.
what it is.
What?
That
So in
Muskie wasn't going to say no.
These taxidermy competitions, what's the, I guess, what are the typical models, if you will? What animals are typically being put on display? Is it just kind of a big array of everything, or?
Oh man, that's a rabbit hole. So yeah, it's everything. There's nothing off limits. I mean, everything from little tiny stuff, the hummingbird size in the bird category, to just everything you can imagine, from reproductions to the actual skin, whether it's a big life size large game animal, or I judge in the fish category. So I've judged probably everything that swims from the state level through the national level. I judged at the world in 2015. So
what fish is the hardest one to recreate?
Oh, man, that's a tough question. I don't know. I think it's the one that you don't know, that you know the least about, and that's if you had a plecostomus in an aquarium, my guess is you could probably make a pretty darn good looking plecostomus. But
well, I don't even know what that is, so I
might have to elaborate here.
On the side of your aquarium, but yeah, it's things that don't have scales are kind of hard. Bullheads, that has to be a recreation. Things like that, little stuff. Although I think there was a little shiner or roach from overseas that won 10-15 years ago. So it's literally at the world taxidermy level, it's 19-20 plus countries represented, and this year it happens to be in Iowa, so it only happens every other year. They got thrown off with COVID, but so it's kind of cool, and it's really pushed the taxidermy industry to do more and cool stuff. So
I don't mean to get too far into this rabbit hole, but so just to help me explain this competition, so would like a muskie taxidermist go up against a muskie, or is it just all fish in one category?
So it used to be. That's a great question. There used to be there used to be one fish category, and now there's three. There's warm water fish, which are divided into subcategories of like sunfish, saltwater fish, other let me think, yeah, groups and so forth. Then there is a largemouth bass category all by itself, definitely the most mounted fish in North America. And then there is a cold water fish, which is going to be your trout and salmon, but also in the cold water category are esox. There's a whole separate category for esox. And in fact, I want to say they got off a year with COVID, maybe 2019. The entire show was one with an amazing muskie. Amazing. It was done by Tim Gurenshin from Michigan, a phenomenal artist. And so they give a best in the world title in each category, but then among the category winners, they put all those up at the very end, throw out all the scores, and then hate to say it, kind of like a dog show, they just say that's the one, and that muskie won, and it was spectacular.
Sweet. Where can we find a picture of this muskie here?
I'll send you. If you just Googled it, it would be Tim Gurenshin, and I think it was North Country Taxidermy, Champion's Choice. I know they've got it all over now. He's got a lot of publicity from it, but fantastic.
I want to see that one too. So get me a picture of that.
Oh, yeah.
It's a big one. It's 53-ish inches, I'm guessing. It's pretty cool. So anyway, sorry didn't mean to hijack this, but
this is, I mean, you guys are
awesome.
on to chat. I guess so, leading into why we have both you on here. When did this collaboration come about, or how did it happen? I mean,
so I'll take over there.
Yeah. Let's hear.
Brett bought a bait off of my private page on Facebook. Right now, other than the shows, it's the only place you can get it is Bam Bam Bait Co. on Facebook. I let you in, that way there's no random post or anything stupid getting posted in there. Brett bought a bait just like anybody else, and I don't know if it was a week or 2 weeks later, he just sent me a random message and he said, "I got your bait, but I had to paint it up," and I was blown away. Like, these paint jobs, the pictures, the videos, it doesn't do them justice. I've never seen rubber painted this. The detail in the rubber is insane with his paint on it. I've seen hard baits that don't even hold a candle to the paint jobs on these rubbers. And then it just kind of went from there. I started asking how many he wanted to paint for me because I was going to send them all to him. He said, my full-time job ain't going to let that happen. So we just decided, he was cool enough to, I'll do some for your shows, or, small batches here and there. I told him, get me a list of what base colors you want, and I'll send them your way. And I've sent him 2 boxes now, the test boxes and the big box for the first show and a half or so.
Yep.
What was that first one you did that got his attention? Was it the perch? Well, I mean, I'm looking on your Instagram. There's a few pretty sweet ones. Like I would have a hard time if I was only being able. If I could only buy one, I'd have a very difficult time doing that.
I think, wasn't it one of the kind of Cisco colored ones?
Yeah, it was definitely the Cisco one was the first one.
Yeah, I got it in the fall and was planning to go up north, planning to go to Minnetonka, and I'm like, I just want to paint it just to see. I painted some tubes back in the spring and was kind of excited about how that came out, and I just saw this bait, and the first time I saw it in the water, I fished it before I painted it, and I didn't get very many casts out of it, but it was just like, holy crap, this fits exactly how I want to fish rubber. And I think everybody fishes different, and every bait's going to fit your fishing style different, but this was exactly what I wanted to see. And I was like, holy crap. So I'm going to put a little bit of paint on this and take it up north. And I did, and I kind of liked what I had, so I sent Brady a picture and just kind of went from there.
So, excuse my ignorance on like the painting, but are you pretty much painting it just as you would as like an epoxied wooden bait, or are you using something else, or what's being used to paint these, if you don't mind me asking?
So I don't know any other way other than a very solvent-based painting system for rubber, and that's what I used. It's just something I had bought years ago. A buddy told me we were buying the orange-tailed, black-bodied bulldogs, and then just painting tiger stripes on the orange tail, and that the only paint that would stick was this particular I think it's acetone. Honestly, I think it's an acetone based paint, and all kinds of stuff. But that's what it was. And when it came time years later to actually try to really paint, I had some of it, and I had actually done I tell you, I've had an opportunity to meet some pretty cool people in this industry, and I had an opportunity to paint some other rubber baits for a buddy, and that's what we needed. That's what we used, and it worked out really, really well. And so with Brady's, I really honestly didn't know if it was going to stick or not. But after I had taken it up to Tonka and fished it for a solid day, I didn't have any issues with it. I was pretty happy, and it stuck on my tubes too. I should say that too. It stuck on the tubes that I fished all spring, carried them through the summer. I've got one that's one of those poor tubes that has like 3 legs, and it's been glued together 87 times. But
Those are the best ones.
yeah, they are. But so yeah, it's a super toxic stuff. I hate to say it. I spray it in the basement more than I should. But it's I can't wait for warm weather where I can open the garage and actually give Brady a batch of baits that he really should have, really deserves.
So we'll be checking in with you, once or twice a year to make sure you're still kicking from that that paint, the toxins.
I do want to say this: Brett is not for hire. If he's for hire, I am hiring him. So all other rubber bait makers, once you see his paint jobs, back off.
Yeah.
He's mine.
So, go ahead, Brett. I was just gonna say, I mean, so unfortunately, this is a podcast and we're talking about this bait, but I think especially for people that are listening to this that haven't seen, the posts and stuff on Instagram and Facebook, I kind of want to hear from Brady on how this bait got created, what it looks like, kind of what went into it. Cause I got to say that excuse my language, but I'm pretty fucking excited to throw this thing. I mean, it checks a lot of boxes on what we like. I think, the fishing industry obviously seemed to be having an appetite for some sort of new kind of rubber bait. Like obviously the quad dog has been getting so much kind of hype built up around it, and maybe for great reason, it seems to be. But like when I saw your bait on Facebook, I think it was the first time I saw it, I was like, this is really cool. Like, I am really digging this. I did not know who you were, kind of what your deal was. And so the more I looked into it, the more I was like, okay, these are accessible-ish, it shows small batch. And when I found out you're coming to Wisconsin, I was like, hell yeah, dude, I am so excited to pick up some of these and start fishing them. So I guess if you want to give a little background on where the idea came from.
Well, like I said, it was literally, I knew what I liked in rubber and I knew what I had to do to other rubber to get it to do what I liked.
Mm-hmm.
So I just decided, I literally took a picture of a bowfin off of the internet. Thought it was just a cool looking fish with the fin down the back. And then it literally was built on a computer, all computer aided design, and back and forth with the guy I worked with until I got the exact shape that I thought I wanted. You're still not positive at that point. I got the master made, got it in my hands, and everything. Luckily, the first go was the right size to ratio, because that, on the computer it looks okay. You're never sure. And then once I got it in my hand, I knew it was right. And then it was just making the harnesses the way I wanted them. I wanted the bait to swim, I should say, to work. Mm-hmm. It's more, it's a pull pause or ripping style rubber bait. And I worked with a guide out of Ohio, Chad Harmon. He's Ohio Muskie Guide Service.
Mhm.
The dude put over 400 fish in the boat last year. And luckily, he's very, very picky who he works with. And I have a buddy that's really good friends with him. And he's like, hey, you should check these out. I sent him a handful, and I wanted 110% honesty out of him. You know, I wanted anything I could fix, I'd work on. We had one little issue with where the line tie was, the front hook. We adjusted that so it didn't happen anymore. And the bait, I still got it running perfect. And the fish pictures haven't stopped since. And honestly, for all the more that's out there, it's actually mind-boggling. Like, I just got 3 pictures yesterday from the small size pink. I don't know if anybody's seen the pink one I made. Pink belly, and the body's actually like almost clear with a blue iridescent in it, but then it has blue, pink, silver, and another, I think they're white, like looks like polka dots in it, but it's glitter inside that. I got 3 net shots yesterday. 45.5 was the biggest one, and it was a fatty on it yesterday. Those are baits from New York already. That Muskie show was the first weekend 2 weeks ago. So I mean, these things are my small size. When I came out with it, late fall. Like, we were icing up in Ohio. They were icing up in Ohio. We were icing up here. I sent 3 guys baits and got 6 net shots in one day. And they all told me, don't touch it. They said, do not touch anything. You nailed it. You know, I thought I had it perfect, but I've been too busy to hardly fish at this point, much of any. And I have a select few guys that they get a handful of baits because they send me net shots every weekend.
So, 2 things on that. One, quick, when was the first year or month or so that you like started making them or having them being thrown, I guess I should say? Like, once you got that size.
It would have been last summer. I started, I made some, handed a few out. We dialed them in. And then honestly, I would say late summer, we started. I remember when I sold the first one, but I made sure I think there was probably closer to 30 fish on them before I made a single penny off one. I wanted to make sure everything was right, make sure they would hold up. Now I know the one guy in Ohio, and I don't want to say this to say they're going to last that long, because a rubber bait's a rubber bait. One fish eats it wrong, it can rip both tails off and everything's done. But he has over 30 fish on just one color, or one bait of his in Ohio. He has over 30 fish on one. So
that's impressive.
I use a softer rubber. When you pick it up, you think it's too soft, because I wanted my tails to move on the pull, on the fall, on the pause. They're still like pulsating almost. The tails never ever stop.
Yeah, talk real quick about how it's built.
Or the shape,
okay,
I guess,
it
for
is,
the people that haven't seen it.
Yeah, so it is, both are identical other than length, and then I did make my small one a little bit wider compared to what it would have been lengthwise. It has 4 belly fins, a long dorsal fin. It doesn't do anything per se other than look cool. The dorsal fin, I had to put it on there. But it also has 2 long tails that split off the back end. So it has the look of a double dog, but doesn't swim anything like a double dog, I guess. Whenever you pull it, the tails are soft enough, they almost go straight back, more like a single-tailed bait. But they're both constantly spinning and kicking. And on the fall, the head drop pulls them, and the tails literally spin almost like the tails on a toad do, on the head drop of a toad. So, I mean, it's literally a mixture of all the rubber out there, but exactly what I wanted personally. So I guess I don't really know how else to explain it. I mean, it has scaling on the side. It has gills. It has my initials down by the ass of it. You know, I had to put every little detail I could possibly think of went into this thing. There was a lot of time, money, and effort put into getting this thing exactly what I wanted before it came along.
What paint job are you holding there? That one looked pretty sharp.
That is Brett's walleye. This thing is like, he paints look at the bottom of the fin. The fins even have
yeah, there's some serious detail.
I mean, the detail in it is just unbelievable.
So,
and there won't be many of those. There won't be many of those in Wausau. So they are first come, first serve. Here's his. I call this a creek chub. I'm not sure which one he calls it. I don't know if you can see the purple iridescent in that one.
I love
It is
that
the
color.
most realistic, natural look I've ever seen on a rubber paint.
That's sweet. I don't even know if I'd want to throw it. I just want to put it up on the bookshelf and look at
Oh,
it.
I'd throw it.
Oh, I'm throwing the shit out of
Oh
that
no, it'll
thing.
look way better.
Way better in the water when the sun's
Yeah.
shining through it.
Be looking
That's-
great hanging from a muskie's mouth.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Can you I mean, I'm dumb when it comes to this bait making stuff. I don't know a ton about it. I don't know if we're getting too much into the secret juice here of how you make them, but can you share like the process of forming the mold? I mean, is it like a pre-made mold you're filling with the rubber, or how does that work?
So all of my molds are silica. I can't afford aluminum. And my molds, if I had aluminum ones made, they'd be probably $2,000 or $3,000 a piece. And my silicone ones are, my big mold. They take a full gallon of silica, so that's still not cheap. I make all my own molds. I have my mold boxes ready at any point if I want to make 10 more molds. If I have the money, I can make them. I started out with one, and now I'm up to 8. I have 4 of each size. I'm about as small as it comes though when it comes to rubber making. Every penny I made at the New York show went right back into this business. I want to grow to the point where I can make them more accessible to more people. There's nothing better than when I'm at my full-time job, getting a net shot in the middle of the day. Hey man, this bait's awesome. I love it. That's why I do it. I do it for the net shots. I don't care if it's 30 inches. If you're happy that you caught that muskie, I'm pumped for you, and just happy to be a small part of it.
Are these the molds? Are they like a top pour, open pour, or?
So they're a belly pour. So they're upside down in the mold.
Mm-hmm.
I put my harness in and then pour the plastisol around it. So I pour the back first. So if I have sucker color that is black, then gold, then white, it's 3 steps. And I got to let each step cool down individually, heat that back up just enough so they bond to each other. Or the gold, even solid colors, there's so much rubber that I can't do. Even if I do all white or all black, I can't just pour it one go. I have to do the body and then the belly, because if not, it gets a deep concave in the center when it cools down. My small ones, I could get away with it, but I'm too particular to do it. I'll just take the extra time it takes to do it and do it right the first time. I'll show you guys since nobody else can see it. Here's my molds. Yins are leaning up against the mold right now.
Aha, I see.
That catch a yins in there.
Yeah, there's a lot of yins that come out of me for sure. Yeah, I'm 60 miles north of Pittsburgh. It's just how we talk over here, I guess.
I love it. It's great.
Come over and chat with you guys over here. So
yeah, I was gonna say,
guys.
you'll hear enough good solid Wisconsin and Minnesota accents when you come to the show.
I'm ready for it. I'm excited for this show. This is definitely going to be the biggest muskie show I've ever been to. We have our biggest one locally is Muskie Max, and I do have that show coming up. I think it's the 2nd and 3rd of March. I have that one. So that one's 2 weeks before the Wisconsin Muskie Expo. So I'm strapped for time. If I wasn't on here talking to you guys, I'd still be pouring baits right
now. Well, we appreciate you being on here, both you guys. And this question kind of goes for the both of you, but I mean, have you guys felt kind of this, this buildup now a little bit, like when things have started to get rolling? I mean, I know it's kind of a question where you got to brag about yourself a little bit, but I feel like it started to kind of catch on, fire a little bit in a way. Have you guys kind of felt that momentum as of recent?
Yeah, I personally am. The amount of messages and stuff I get, I'm blown away. I truly am. I make sure I message every single person back. And there's days that, can I order? Can I buy? Where do I get them? How do I get them? I love the messages. I do. And I appreciate everybody that, for all the support. Right now, I'm not taking any orders, because if you order 5 baits that every one is a different color, I could pour 10 in that same time if they're all the same color.
Mm-hmm.
So for me right now, it just doesn't make sense. I'm hoping to get to the point where I can have a wall full of baits that if somebody messages me, I can say, I have this color, I have this color, maybe get a website here at some point. There's a lot into this that I'm just this is all learning. It took off way more than I ever thought it would have, and now it's just playing catch up.
Yeah, that's exciting though. I mean, so how long, like, I guess for Brett too, you know, when you get one of these, how long does it take you to paint, you know, one, and then how long for Brady does it take you to make, you know, one of these baits?
Yeah, you
Go
go
ahead,
on
Brett.
it.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I don't honestly, I couldn't tell you because the first ones I did for him, I did all individually, and I just different, like, try this color, let's try that color, and then we started to we found some that we liked. Then we thought we'll try to do a run of them, and it's not that I couldn't paint 4 of them in the same time I do one, but it's close because you're not cleaning between colors and things like that. And I imagine the guys that do it are all set up with like a manifold of airbrushes. They've got red in one, black in another, white in another, and they never clean. I spray through one airbrush, so it's all, I clean in between each different color. So for me, I don't know. I tried to kind of figure out how many I could do, and I could do in a half a day. I probably did each color batch, which was what, 6, 8, about 8 maybe in a half a day. So a couple of them an hour maybe paint wise. But there's just that's my fault. It could be way more efficient. I'm just not looking to. I mean, I don't think Brady wanted a mass produced appearance. So I put a lot of what I do is by hand, and I think it kind of matched the bait that he has so much detail, and to just blast over that detail with paint didn't make sense. So I've got one. This is, I don't think anybody's, Brady, I don't think you've seen this. This is that bullhead.
I've seen that one. That's the one I see. Yeah, you sent me a video. I might have to keep that one, so don't show that one off too much.
But if you look at these scales, I felt like those all need to be painted individually instead of and painted over. And so everything below that lateral line, I paint by hand. There's airbrush paint underneath to get the base colors, but I just think some of the depth of color that he gets in the pearls and so forth, I don't want to touch that. I want that to show through. And so I just paint individually on top of the scales and leave some of that pearl color coming through. So it's not fast. It should be, but it's not.
Makes them one of a kind almost, like even like the same walleye.
Oh yeah.
Of it. It's very like individual, you know, like each walleye could be a little different than the other.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you had them lined up, Brady, you probably saw that.
Oh yeah, they're just the littlest bit, but they're definitely each their own. And his gills, I have gills on my bait. The flash and different depths he has on the gills it's stupid for rubber. It's insane. I see every second that I painted just long enough to know how much time he put into every one of these. Like he didn't wait. I mean, he every minute he put into it. He didn't try to cut any corners. And that's why they turned out as good as they did.
Yeah. And you know, again, there's more time than needs to be in there. They look cool in your hand, but the thing I think was the biggest surprise to me was they look better in the water. They really do. There's so much pearl. There's so many subtle colors in the rubber, and then the colors that I put on, I make myself. They're all pearls and different iridescence and powders and pigments and pastels and all kinds of stuff. Anyway, those all kind of intensify in the water, and I can't tell you, I can't take video. I've tried to video different stuff that I've painted and put in the water, and it just looks different. So if anybody's got a nice big clear body of water that they want to try to throw something in and look at it, they're pretty cool.
Probably get in touch with Glenn McDonald at 54 Bust this summer, send.
Yeah, he's already reached out to me. I'm sure
Nice.
he's going to have a handful of them. Yeah, he's been hitting me up since right before show season started. I said he's going to have to wait till after show season. I'm too busy right now for anything extra.
All good. It's all ice and snow and covered up there in Canada anyways. They're not going to be filming that until probably May or June or whenever they probably go and do that before Muskie opens, I'm assuming. But
so on my side of things, per bait, it's only getting faster. I just spent a lot of money on some stir pots to heat plastisol up. Before, I was heating up individual Pyrex cups to pour bodies, and then individual Pyrex cups to pour bellies, and it takes forever that way. I got stir pots that'll stir up. I think I can do almost 3 gallon at a time. So that should cut my time. I'm not going to say a full half, but close to half, so I can actually produce these things. I had 372 baits at the New York show, was the exact number I had. That took me a month and a half of every single waking moment I had that I wasn't at my full-time job. I'd go to bed late every night. I'd start pouring as soon as I got home. I'm hoping to, I don't want to say numbers, but I'm hoping to bring at least 400 to Wisconsin. As at the least. I would bring a lot more if the Muskie Max wasn't 2 weeks before that one. But we'll see. I haven't even used my stir pots yet. What's that?
I was gonna say, yeah, because you got to have plenty of baits for that one too. So
yeah, because it's our big one here. There's like 1,800-ish people that go to that on average.
Wow.
And it's when they show up there, we got a lot of casters and some trollers. New York is more of a trolling show, but I had that was my first ever Muskie Expo that I had my own booth. And I did beyond good. I'm more than happy. The show itself up there is awesome. It's a full weekend, everything under one roof in a hotel. Great food. Everybody hung out, lure swap afterwards. They even had karaoke Saturday night. It was just a great it was a fun weekend with just a bunch of like-minded people that like the muskie fish.
Yeah. Sounded like you guys almost
sing?
had two.
I didn't sing nothing. I was there professionally. I behaved myself. I sipped on my bush lattes. I promise there was no singing out of me.
Right. Yeah. It looks like you guys had a lot of fun. A few people came out a little sick after the show. It seemed like we're talking with Owen last week.
Yep, I got the same thing Owen had. I was in the booth right beside Owen.
So no additional pressure, but are there going to be some custom painted Brett baits at the Wisconsin show?
Yes, Brett. Yes, there will be.
Yeah, all right.
Brett's like,
Yeah, that's the plan. That's I plan to get. What have I got? Maybe 24, 25 now.
I think you have 24 now.
Yeah, and then we're gonna get another batch going, and again, it's kind of the same that Brady just said. Back-to-back shows is going to be hard to get any more in between, but yeah, there'll be some.
Brett, you're gonna be at the Wausau show with your own baits too?
Unfortunately, no. Wausau happens the same dates as the Montana Taxidermy Association. I'm judging there, so I couldn't do it this year. I've actually got a 2-year commitment with them, so gotcha. If Wausau falls the same dates next year, I'm stuck on that one. Unfortunately, always wanted to get to that show.
Brett, what color do you call the one that you had your most recent post on Instagram? For everyone listening, it's WF custom _baits. What's that color? The last one you just posted, it's like a black and gold.
I don't know. I only did one. That was
not what he wanted to hear.
You're killing me, Brett. You're killing me right now.
Did that one still have that one?
I do still have that. Hold on, I'll go grab it.
Yeah. So that one, honestly, one of my very favorite colors of rubber baits is, and there are going to be people that hate me when they hear me say this, but it's blotchy walleye from Muskie Innovations.
Oh, yeah.
And
It's a good one.
kind of an intentional take on what they've done with some of those colors. So it was completely an experiment. So
And it turned out perfect, just so you know.
it's
Because that's my favorite color rubber too, just so we're aware.
Yeah, same. I had caught one of my better fish in my life on the blotchy walleye this last spring, and I am kind of foaming at the mouth over here on that bait you just held up to the camera there. I don't know. I got to find your sweet spot, man, whether you're a whiskey guy or, you know,
Bush
maybe
light.
you got to like,
All right, right here.
Lifetime
Bush
supply
lights.
of Bush.
Lifetime
Yeah.
supply.
yeah, Jesus Christ. I might have to send you a few 30 racks of the God's Nectar and see if that, you know, helps me get in your good graces at all to get my hands on one of those, because holy
the
crap.
good thing about that color is that was a late ad, and when Brady sent the black body with the pearl belly,
Don't tell them. I'm trying to get a bunch of free 30 racks out of them. Stop. Don't tell them how many you still have of the black body.
Well, someday maybe if you want, I might have a couple a few of those blanks to paint for him.
God, I'm gonna be sending care packages and gift baskets out here after this.
I'm gonna get 0 quad dogs and save all my money for both.
This is turning into an expensive podcast all of a sudden.
There was one
Sales
other
call.
thing I didn't mention about my baits is all my baits you can add belly weights to. I make my own belly weights for them. So your shallows, you can get more of a mid depth. My deeps do have 2 times the internal weight as my shallows, but the small version, they only come one weight. But if you add 1.5 ounces to them, they're going to have like 2 foot per second head drop. So my deeps get deep. My shallows stay pretty shallow. You can add weight to them and, you know, get 1 foot per second, 1.5 per second on a shallow with a weight.
So,
and Brady, do you make those? Don't you make your own add-on weights?
Yes, yeah, I have all my own belly weights. I had the custom mold machined out of aluminum with my with BAM initials in them, and yeah, I'll have a lot of those at all the shows too. You know, they're cheap for everybody else, and you can add them to dang near any rubber.
sweet. So, could you go into detail on the exact like ounce? Do you have the exact ounce weighting of like a mid or a shallow and a deep for the? Are you calling it just the Bowfin and then the mini Bowfin, or?
I didn't really come up with good names. I just have the regular size and then the small. The small is just under 5 ounces.
Oh, wow.
With the hooks on it.
Okay.
So it doesn't weigh a lot. It looks bigger for some reason in the pictures and the videos. And even when you hold them side by side, I mean, I don't know, you guys can see it. I know the people on the podcast can't. But yeah. The large, so the mini is, or the small is just under 5 ounces. My shallow is 7.5 ounces with the hooks on it. My deeps come with a belly weight plus 2 times the internal weighting. They're right around 10 ounces. But the design of the body itself, with it, my belly is actually skinnier than the sides of the beta. So it cuts through the water. So my deep, it's 2 feet per second drop. So it is, you better be getting after it because it's going to get down.
Cause what's a regular mag dog? Like 12 ounces or 11 or?
I'm not sure what it is.
But it's got a lot more drag, obviously. Yeah,
they have the wider flat belly on the bottom. And that's like, I mean, Mag Dog was my number one rubber before I started making mine. That's what I threw. But on a Mag Dog, I always had 1.5 ounces on the line tie at all times just to get the head drop I wanted. My deep still gets a little bit deeper than a Mag Dog with 1.5 ounces.
Okay.
That's my number one right there most of the time, especially at summertime, you know, when you're ripping rubber hard. That's when I like my deep.
So what's the type of stuff that you fish where you're like, I need to add all that weight? Like what are you fishing over there in Western Pennsylvania that made you kind of want to do this? Want to make that heavy
So
head drop?
for my first quite a few years of muskie fishing, I got around. I've caught a muskie out of 8 different states.
Wow.
And like even Lake St. Clair, if I'm on, like I've fished it quite a few different times now. Anything I'm throwing there, I got head weight. I guess a lot of it's the way I work rubber too. You know, the pull pop. I like that a lot, but I want to be down in their face. Like I can't work rubber slow. It's hard for me. I mean, the colder the water gets, I will, because the fish make me. But I like local. I got the Allegheny River, it's deep where I fish it, the lower Allegheny. We got 50 foot of water in the river. And with the current and everything else, I wanted something to cut through that current, get down where I wanted it to be. Even all the lakes, if the bait's 12 foot down, I want to be able to work baits fast, 12, 15, 20 foot down. And that's why I made my deep the way I did. I did it selfishly, to be honest. That's the way I like rubber, so that's why I did.
Well, you found a hole in the market pretty much. I mean, other than I'd say a tube, heavily weighted tube probably, can get down that fast too. But for one that I don't know what the hell a tube looks like to a fish, but one that maybe looks like a fish actually swimming through the water with some scales on it. You got that.
And then also with my deeps and my smaller size, with like the smaller size, if you add 1.5 ounces, it gets about the same drop as my deep does. And I've done pretty well jigging them.
Oh, nice.
Just vertical jigging them. The fish seem to like them like that.
Interesting.
And that weight, it has enough weight where you can actually jig it. There's a lot of rubber baits. It's hard to get enough weight on them to jig.
Yeah, I've found it difficult to jig something other than a Bondi or a tube. Honestly, I've tried with like a heavily weighted swimming dog, kinda. No luck there, but that's kind of cool. You can do that. We might have to invest in a small one in some sort of shad color for Cave Run this year. It might come in handy. It will come in handy. I can almost put a stamp on that.
For sure.
I like the way that you're talking about working these baits, though. I think you're kind of speaking to us Wisconsin guys pretty closely here. I saw Brian's eyes light up over there when he talked about ripping rubber hard. I know that's our guy Brian's forte. I mean, we all like to think we can, but it's I think it's something that's pretty common over here in Wisconsin. Like you see, another boat out there on the lake ripping rubber, like us Wisconsin guys definitely are, going after it. It's for whatever reason, the fish like it here over, much more. I don't know, Brett, if you have any difference in Minnesota, but like when we went up to Vermilion, all we heard was like, you can't work rubber baits like you do in Wisconsin. Like you really gotta, do some more prolonged pauses. I know you're cutting up, so maybe I'm wrong. We heard differently, or got some bad advice, but yeah, I know for us Wisconsin guys, a lot of times we're ripping, rubber and 3 to 7 feet of weeds. And I'm excited to try the deeper, one on some of our clearer lakes, but I don't know how it is in Minnesota for you, Brett, or what your experience has been with ripping rubber.
Yeah. I honestly think it matches up perfect for the way we fish. And what I call home water is deep and clear. And we fish, 20-foot break line a lot. And this is going to do it. I mean, you can fish it really, really vertical. You can really rip it up. And it's not going to blow out on you. You're not going to have it, coming up too fast. It works really well. I fished it north of here ways and I just loved it. I was waiting for it to just get crushed and I failed that day, but
that's muskie fishing.
It was muskies for being muskies.
So you classify it as more of like when you're ripping it hard, it kind of hops more than it glides or suspends.
That's been my experience, Brady. What do you call it?
I mean, it really depends. If you rip, like, because I do a lot of like the rip and then a hop in there just to throw the fish, something a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
It'll still get that glide to it if you pull, from side to side instead of up and down is what I get out of it.
Okay.
Now,
that's
and that's with the different models too, my shallow with a weight on it. you're still gonna get down close to a mag dog, right around a mag dog with an ounce and a half or ounce in the belly. And with the shallows, they set at the top for just that split second, and then it's all head drop. And so I'm trying to make them so I can cover every market where you can, not market, but every scenario you can throw rubber. Either my deep or my shallow is going to do the job. Because I know there's the guys that like that, my shallows almost glide more at the top. My deeps are deep enough where they do have more of a hop, the more of a head drop. They come up there for a split second, they're going right back down.
Real quick, Gus, I just, because I wanted to ask you a question.
Sure.
So how do you see these applying to Wisconsin waters? Like, how are you going to fish them as a guy that's in the boat every day?
I mean, the reason that I'm just like really excited to throw these is because I'm a big time tube guy, big time bend rubber head down heavily to get lots of hopping going on out of a bait that otherwise doesn't do a whole lot. So the fact that you're saying that it just has a lot of hop, it can get down deep, you can rip it really hard, exactly what we do. I'm pretty excited to use that pretty much in back-breaking scenarios we do in shallow weeds with rubber. I think it'll be pretty cool to try that out, even in like your deep situations in the late fall. Might have to probably play around with weighting so it doesn't move around or move too fast. Obviously they don't want it to be moving super fast. I'll try and find an application for it there, but I think realistically this is going to be like probably a June through, I don't know, it's going to be a year-round thing. I mean, we throw rubber from opener. I'm pretty much pumped. I mean, I was going to touch on this earlier, I think, when we were talking about the painting, Brett, and I was going to touch on that. It was really cool, Brady, that he put scales on it. And Brett, you, in your custom paintings, you kind of have them like flash. Cause that like, so Medusas, they don't really have very many flashy paintings on them. Like even if they have like an orange bait, they don't have like sparkle much. Like their baits don't do that. And then Muskie Innovations obviously has their like hollow series and stuff like that. And we've found a pretty good application of that type of rubber. And because obviously green bloomed water up here, we love all black. Like all black works amazing. But we've seen in super sunny situations on clear water, like that flash from blades or something is pretty sweet. So that was one thing I just wanted to compliment on. The flash of your rubber, even in just the videos, I'm sure it's going to be amazing. I know you're talking about it's different in the water. That I think will play a huge role on calling fish in for sure with your bait.
Yeah, I think, Brady's got, now the first one that I got from you, Brady, that I painted had a ton of glitter in it. It was a silver base.
Okay.
And it was sweet anyways. And I think adding some of the paint on top, I think you're gonna see some pretty impressive flash that's gonna have different with the glitter in the plastisol and not obliterating it with paint. That glitter just sparkles in its own way, and then the bait as it moves with those scales all being accented, it's gonna make some flash. So I'm excited for you guys. Water.
I use a lot of glitter in most of my baits. I have certain colors that don't have glitter, but a lot of my different baits, even because I'm only going to have a handful of each one of these shows that is pretty paint jobs. The rest are just plastisol. Like I haven't started painting anything because of how toxic it is, and I haven't had time to even think about learning how to paint rubber. I can paint hard baits. I haven't tried to rubber yet.
Yeah.
But like the amount of glitter I use is probably overkill. But I do it for a reason. It looks good. It flashes in the water, and that little bit of flash can be the difference on certain days for sure.
Brady, do you have a go-to color? Sorry, Gus.
That's all right.
do you have a go-to color, or the ones that you do that you kind of had seen yourself just kind of gravitate towards, or
And for like your
This
area too,
yeah,
I guess.
this year's been a lot of white chartreuse, white body, chartreuse belly, and tails. And then I made it a little bit better this year, or late here before the shows. I did some glow baits that's white and chartreuse. The white has glitter in it. The belly doesn't, but it literally, I mean, you put it under a light, brighten it up, and it glows. So in your dark water situations, Gus, even in the summertime, middle of the day, if just casting that bait, it's getting enough sunlight to charge it, and you get down in that stained water, it will have like a little bit of a glow to it. I'm bringing a lot of those to Wisconsin for sure. That was probably my best seller in New York.
What?
And when they glow, they glow.
That's pretty cool. I like that because we actually throw. I mean, I was saying like black's probably my favorite color for like a stained water, but during the middle of the day, we found in stained waters like all white is really, really good. So I think that could be. What other glow colors have you made? Or is it just the chartreuse?
That's the only glow colors I've made so far. I'm planning on making more, probably not until after show season.
Okay.
But another color, the other probably Saint. You know what Saint is? Black body, white belly, gold tails. That's I know. I think they all make that color. That one, and I do a blue and chartreuse. It sounds hideous, but the orb that comes off that thing in the stained water, those two are probably my number one and number two producer in net shots that I got this year.
Okay.
From everybody. And the Ohio guys, they fish a lot of muddier water, dirtier water. Their lakes are always dirty. And that blue and chartreuse, I look at it, I was like, I would never throw that. And then I went to Ohio and fished a little bit of muddy water, put it in the water, and I was like, okay, now I understand what they're doing.
Yeah, because I feel like our muddy water might be different than I shouldn't say we don't get quote unquote muddy water. We get stained water, which usually comes from algae blooms, later in the year. But what's like the clarity of the, I don't know, I'll just say the lower Allegheny where you're at. What's the clarity there? And
it can be crystal clear to not crystal clear, 10-foot visibility, and then it can be 0 inches visibility. I mean, our water fluctuates so much with rain that, our river will go from 10 feet on a gauge to 23 feet and stuff starts flooding. So, I mean, I play in all of it. I figured out some things in the muddy water where one of my bigger fish when I first started muskie fishing, I caught it on a glide in water that you could maybe 3 inches of visibility. The fish was obviously feeding off its lateral.
Yeah. Right.
Our clarity around here, we get algae blooms on certain lakes. A lot of ours are reservoirs, so the water is always fluctuating, same as our river. So it'll be crystal clear one day and chocolate milk the next with trees floating through it. Even on our lakes, get like that.
That's crazy. So you touched on that you caught muskies from 8 different states. Where else abouts have you fished?
I got the only fish I caught out of Wisconsin was a tiger.
Nice.
Came out there and catch you guys' unicorn. It was a little one, but it was still a tiger.
Were you in
New York,
northern Wisconsin or southern Wisconsin?
Madison Chain area.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I came out for the muskie battles that Jeff Contreras used to put on. They invited me out with all the YouTube guys. I didn't have a YouTube channel. I just fished, but Jeff invited me out.
Nice.
I caught that one the day before the battles, just bang fishing with Jeff. So
nice.
That's pretty sweet.
I got Wisconsin, Ohio, New York, West Virginia, PA, obviously, Michigan, and I guess St. Clair. What's that?
Oh, I was just gonna start guessing other states, but
and then I guess St. Clair. I caught some out of the Canadian side, so I don't know if you want to call that, what you want to call that, but that's, it's happened. I mean, it's more Canada than it is America. So
okay.
And Brett, do you fish mostly in Minnesota? Or do you ever get down to Iowa? Do you ever go over to God's country and fish in Wisconsin at all? Or
yeah. So actually, my fishing is 99%, 98% Iowa. The Okoboji chain PMTT was there a few years ago. So that's I work in Spirit Lake, so that's all part of that.
Oh,
Yeah.
So a little bit of Minnesota, and I was absolutely ruined when I was went to Hayward probably 4 years ago with a buddy, and there's no comparison. That's just a whole different creature, and it's probably the one place that I really would like to focus on more. I just love it. It was just amazing. I saw, honest to goodness, I saw the biggest fish I've ever seen, and it ruined me.
Wow.
Absolutely.
even after fishing Minnesota too, huh?
So far, absolutely.
What's
Kong.
wow? What's the drive for you to Hayward? What's that?
With the boat, I think it's about 6 hours, and that's not working very hard at it. I mean, that's taking it easy. It's usually that trip for me was fall, and that's and everything else around. So nobody's getting too crazy.
That's quite
Yeah,
that's a
North-
doozy.
Northwoods, Wisconsin, man. It gets under your skin when you.
Oh my
Hard to
gosh.
leave, man. That's hard to leave. What
It's-
what's just to quickly touch on it? What's the Okoboji chain, Spirit Lake area like? What are those lakes kind of like? If
So super diverse. Spirit Lake is the top of the chain, and that is about a 22-foot cereal bowl, like 5,500 acres. Not much structure, weeds. And in recent years, we got the zebra mussel. Things are changing drastically. And maybe not for the worse, but it gets a little harder. Then that chains down into East Okoboji, and that is primarily shallow, like under 12 feet. It's narrow. It's not a river, but it kind of shaped like a river. Real narrow. And then you come into West Okoboji, which I don't quote me here, but I'm pretty sure it's one of only 3 blue water lakes in the world. Oak West gets down to 130 plus feet, and it is gin clear. East is it's just a bridge. You cross under a bridge, and when you go under the bridge, the world changes. East Okoboji is dirty, real low visibility. West Okoboji, other than all of the boat traffic, like under the ice, you can tell if a quarter's heads or tails in 20 feet of water. It's super clear.
unreal. And that's like,
Yeah.
are they off the top of your head? Is it just kind of like same amount of muskies in each of them since they're all connected, or do you think people are more gravitating to the dirtier water just because more times than not, gin clear water's tough?
So, they had the PMTT here, and they caught a bunch of fish on the top end
That was
Spirit.
okay.
And very few fish in the clear water were caught. I think, gosh, I couldn't tell you the numbers, but it was crazy how many fish were caught up in the top end, and it was pretty dirty up there. You can't a fish can't go back unless we have real high water. Once it comes down from Big Spirit, it can't get back up. There's a little spillway there. And there's a spillway in the bottom, and they got a little issue with an Asian carp, so they put an electronic barrier at the bottom of the chain, which comes out of there's a couple little lakes. So DNR was finding fish that were going out of the system, and we're a hatchery lake. We're the only system in Iowa that closes our season. So
Okay.
they net during that closed season. We close ice usually closes us, but like December 1, end of November, and we don't open until the 21st of May. And so they gill net, they milk fish, and then they rear them in the hatchery, and then those fish go all through Iowa. I think they even get traded to different states too.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. I remember seeing the PMTT results that one time. They caught just an absolute boatload of fish there. So I don't have any knowledge of that system at all. But that sounds cool, actually.
Yeah, it is cool. It's super diverse,
It's a lot of water too.
It is a lot of water. Of course, those fish exist in a pretty small area, but there's a lot of stuff that I haven't explored. I think our state record came from here years back, and there are big fish, but Iowa's got some pretty cool opportunities in other places too that don't close. Some southern Iowa lakes and fisheries too. So it's an overlooked state, but there's some good fishing around here.
Sweet. So one thing that I wanted to ask for both of you on your baits with all the well, for sure, Brady, with all the fish pictures that you said people are sending you, do you have, for each of you, do you have a top end fish? Do you have somebody with the biggest, maybe people want to know what's the biggest caught on your baits?
So far on the Bowfin, the biggest I know of is 51 out of Ohio, which is a giant out of Ohio. Like,
damn, wow.
There's not many 50s out of Ohio every year, and Justin, he's sent me so many at this point, fish pictures. It's crazy, and he caught his PB of 51 last end of summer, early fall, after dark on the Bowfin on a black and orange, and yeah, that's the biggest I know of as of right now.
That ain't small.
No, that definitely ain't small.
So are you, Brady? Are you, I mean, prepared? I guess, like, if this thing really catches fire this summer, and like to scale this thing to a point where you're going to actually be able to hopefully keep up with demand.
I am pretty much putting as much money back into it as I'm making off of it to get it to the point where I would like to be able to, pour 100 baits a day if I can at some point. I know what that takes, the amount of money it takes up front to make that happen. It's not cheap, but I don't want to outsource. I want to be the one that has my hand on every single one of the baits if it's possible. And I do have a full-time job, and I do have 2 kids, and I like to fish too, but this show season kind of stopped that because my season's open year-round out here.
Mm-hmm.
And other than ice, I don't normally stop. Even with ice, I break a couple trailer lights and bust some ice out of the way and go do my thing. My river, it'll freeze up every other year or so. It'll get to the point where I'm cruising and I'm like, this is probably a bad idea. This ain't good for the bottom of the boat, but I push it till there's no pushing it anymore. And as soon as it opens back up, I'm out.
Hope you got an aluminum boat.
Yes, I do.
Good man. And Brett, what about your baits?
So the biggest fish that honestly, there's only a handful of mine out there. There just aren't that many. The biggest fish that have been caught on my baits were both caught by a very good friend of mine. In fact, he has the second bait I ever made, pushed me to name the bait, and I have never come up with anything. And so he only calls it number 2. So that bait had 2 fish caught in Minnetonka in the same day. And I think one was 48.5, and I think one was a shade over 50. So, and he, of course, sent great pictures of them. That's the dive and rise bait.
A Minnetonka, huh?
Yeah, I knew you would probably work your ears up at that.
Raise an eyebrow, yeah.
But those were Tonka fish, and again, it's a clear system, and that's kind of what I started them with, and that's what we like to fish. So it doesn't surprise me that that's where they were. But I'd like to get a few more of them out there and in people's hands. But it seems like I've been painting more rubber than carving baits. So.
You just stick to the rubber.
Yeah.
So with you guys, with Brady, with you potentially, having like a website and everything in your foreseeable future, you're gonna have to start coming up with some good names for these baits and these color patterns. You got any on the top of mind right now that you might start calling them?
Well, that pink bait, I decided to name it after. I used to call it cotton candy because it has the blue and the pink and stuff. Now I just call it Stinky Pinky.
I like
And
that
then I made some brown ones. It has a brown copper body with brown belly. It's as natural as you can get. And I actually Nate Osfer asked for that color. I made him a couple, and he calls it the turd or sexual chocolate. So these are the names we're coming up with here.
That sounds about right. Every brown bait that I get my hands on, I call it turd minnow every time.
Yeah, I'm not great with the names of different baits, even sizes. I'm like, I don't even know what to call it. I got a big one and I got a small one. What do you want?
I like, Bowfin Jr. Nice little little BJ bait.
That might be the new name.
There you go.
I saw a brown rubber bait online called Sexual Chocolate. Like, I don't care what the price is. I'm buying that thing. I mean, that's a great name.
Well, maybe I'll reach out to you, Max, for some names whenever it needs be.
Oh, we have a good time. Like we name all of Gus's bucktails. I mean, Greg Thomas had a great one for us on this bucktail that just murdered last year for us, and it had big blades and a small skirt. And Greg goes, "Oh, the Dolly Parton." So that bucktail is called the Dolly. I don't know. We got a few other that Gus is tied up, but yeah, I love coming up with names for baits. So if you're ever looking for some inspiration, I'll dive into some bush lights with you, and we'll come up with a few good ones.
Well, we definitely might have to do that because I just put out a color and put it on my page. If you want it, you buy it. I don't really even name it. I just keep pouring baits. That's all I know to do.
Nice.
And you do it well.
All right, so we just came out of a little beer run, bathroom break. Everybody's back now. I want to go back to Brett here on some of his custom baits. I was checking out your Instagram earlier today. You probably made the most beautiful glide bait I think I've seen. It looks like it was from a couple summers ago. So what's the deal with this bait? It's a jointed bait, which I'm a sucker for joiners, as Max and Gus know.
Yep.
Nice.
How can I get my hands on this
Confirm.
thing?
Well, if it's the one I'm thinking, is it a walleye color?
It looks kind of more like bluegill or perch.
Okay, yeah, there's a bluegill too. I was gonna say the walleye is somewhere in the bottom of West Okoboji that you might have I have a waypoint on that, but no longer. Which is sad because that bait got a lot of attention for a couple of weeks. I did really well on it. I had a really big fish, and 2 casts later caught a 42, 43 this spring, but it did really well. But I have that one just came out of kind of boredom. Like I love to throw gliders. I do. I love to eat. I love that time of year for us early is just amazing. I've had some great glider stuff. So I just wanted to throw something different. And that one just had no particular, it was just a sketch. It just came from drawing on a piece of paper and, hey, let's see if we can get some weight in this and make it do something. And it accidentally worked.
So this total accident, I mean, it looks like the most professional glide bait I've seen. The tail with the real hair in there is sweet. So did you only make a couple of them?
I made 2, 3. I made a perch one that a buddy has that we've drilled a bunch of holes in and tried to change and do different stuff. And then there is I actually made a mold of it, and I learned that the urethane that I poured it out of degasses it so it cures over time, and it continues to emit gases, and I didn't know that. I just, like I say, the random thing that I tried, and I ended up with these little blisters underneath the paint, and the gases continue to it emits gases for weeks. So I had painted it. I poured it and painted it right away. And yeah, they came apart. So it's right now that one is half painted, half stripped off. It's not.
Well, let me know if you get bored this summer and or this winter and dial up a few more of these. I'd be really curious.
Oh, absolutely. That's the plan. I really want to do a few more gliders.
Yeah, Brian wants any bait with the most amount of joints in it, the most amount of orange, the most amount of tails off of it, blades, eyeballs.
We can cover all of our bases in one. Yeah, what are you holding up there? Is that one of them?
Yeah, that's actually a different. That one was made specifically for a buddy that had a very, very, very particular guy that wanted a bait a glide bait. This is a bass guy, and he wanted one that's not going to move a lot. You're gonna real small rod tip twitches or reel handle twitches, and it's gonna move left and right, but not cover a lot of vertical surface. So it's not gonna cover a lot of ground. I should say horizontal, but and it just kind of sits there in front of their face, and he's like, yeah, do this, do this, do this. No, don't do that. I don't want this. I do want that. We finally got it tuned, and that's going to be this is a springtime thing. We're pretty excited to fish this one and the little bitty of it too.
That's pretty cool.
I feel like if anyone of our people listening to this are probably gonna be like, God, these guys are just freaking whoring themselves out for lures right now. Yeah. Just be like, if you got any of those laying around, if there's any way I can convince you to send me some, and no, it's too good. I mean, you guys are extremely talented, and I just love the fact that you guys are able to link up and collab on this. You know, like a really cool new innovative rubber bait, you know, meets really talented, you know, painter. And next thing you know, you have these baits that feels like a lot of people are just screaming about online. So yeah, just pretty sweet, I think.
And the funniest part is this is the first time me and Brett ever actually talked other than through messages. I send him a box full, 50 baits in a box. I send him to his house, never actually speaking to him. And this is the first time we met. As I said when we were first got on here, I was like, we've never actually talked. We probably should have talked before we got on here, but
that's the honest truth. But you got to look at our message chain because it's like 9 miles long.
Yeah, we definitely talk a lot.
Yeah, it's been cool.
Do you even know what each other looked like?
Profile pictures.
Yeah. Just meeting dudes online. We gotta love it, man.
Hey, we're all muskie fishermen. That's what we do. We know everybody by their profile picture. You go to a muskie show, you have no idea who 3/4 of the people are that you've talked to for the last 5 years.
Right. Just say their name and you're like, oh my God, yeah, we've messaged like a bunch. That's who you are.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Just guys meeting other guys online. Nothing weird about it.
Nothing weird.
Nothing at all.
Should make like a dating or a dating service, but like for musky lure people,
musky buddies, musky fishing friends on yeah, lure buddies.
Wait, I thought that's what this podcast was.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, hit us up anytime.
Yeah.
But the fun part of it is that there is an element of musky fishing's musky fishing, but unique to this sport is the bait side of it. And I don't know if it's collecting it. I don't know if it's everybody's trying harder to come up with the better mousetrap or what it is. But I mean, you can go talk. My experience has been, it doesn't matter who you talk to. You can talk baits to any musky fisherman and completely break the ice with anybody. And it's so fun. I really truly enjoy it. And that's how it happened. That we did this bait with Brady it was a super cool bait. I mean, I looked at it and I think I saw maybe the first couple of net shots, and I'm like, I'm now honestly, I had sworn off the Facebook bait raffles for that. I got stuck in that a few years ago, but that bowfin, I was like, I'm gonna get in on this. This is too good not to, and that it just happened that way. It's like, holy crap! I actually got in time, got one,
Yeah, right.
and like, holy crap! This is just too cool. So.
Well, I mean, so like I agree. I think baits are kind of like the universal love language in muskie fishing because it's just like something that every muskie angler loves baits. Like you're talking about trying to find the new, something that unlocks these fish because they're just so damn tough to catch at times. And I mean, I know from like our experience, like it does sometimes feel better when you catch a fish on, whether it's like a unique lure or a small batch, bait maker. But you guys are taking it to the next level. Like, what was that like when you guys caught that first muskie on like a bait that you made where you're just throwing it, for hours or however long it took. And also you're like, holy shit, this thing works. Like, this is awesome.
Go ahead, Brady.
Yeah, honestly, when I caught them on my own stuff, I was excited, but there's no excitement like somebody else sending you a net shot.
Okay.
Like me catching fish, I'm always excited when I catch a fish, but it's nothing like I said, when I'm at work and somebody sends me a net shot, or it's a weekend that I'm working on baits or hanging out with the family and I get a net shot, those mean way more than any fish I've caught on anything I've made. Knowing that something I enjoy making, I like how it fishes, and some random person off Facebook, hey man, these baits are awesome, keep up, here's a net shot. Like that feels so much better than me catching them.
It's got to be motivating for you to like keep getting those pictures to like keep you going.
Yeah, that's why I haven't been fishing much. Instead, I've been making baits. I swore when I started playing with baits in the beginning, I was not going to be like all the other muskie guys that make baits, that they start out muskie fishing, then now all they do is make baits and they never fish. And now here I am, hardly ever fishing and only making baits.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would second that. It's kind of the same. It's very similar to the taxidermy world, where to put something in someone else's home that's very personal. And for somebody to give you any money for something that you created, whether it's a musky lure or a deer head on their wall or whatever it might be, you kind of develop a little bit of a sense of pride in those things. It feels good to get that feedback. And yeah, catching a fish on something I made was awesome. That was super cool. I'll never forget that. But having somebody else catch a fish on a bait that I made, there's nothing that tops that. That's the best.
I mean, you're giving somebody else like the joy of catching a muskie, which is pretty cool. Yeah. Gus, I'm sure if you want to touch on that as being you're a guide. That's what people pay you to do. It's you guys kind of are, there's some parallels here that I guess I'm just now seeing because I'm dumb. But I mean, yeah, like, Gus talks about like how awesome it is when somebody else catches a fish. It's like, I could imagine you guys are all probably, similar in that way.
Yeah, no doubt. When somebody hops in the boat and they say that they've never musky fished or they've never caught one or they've been trying for a while and haven't caught one and then they do, those are special moments. I mean, there's definitely parallels there. There's obviously the difference. Brady, you're not in the boat with every person that's caught a fish on your bait, same with you, Brett, but seeing like the fish pictures or having the fish picture of somebody catching their first, gotta love the first musky smiles, gotta love the musky smiles of somebody catching one on your bait or, them showing off a funky face because they're holding a 51 incher that they just caught or 50 and a half or, on your baits. It's pretty cool. I have a sidebar story that I don't think I've never told on the podcast for sure, but I'm honestly not even sure if Max or Brian has heard this. So But anyways, this story is actually pretty funny. It goes back to my first year of college out in Montana. Before I never made any of my own baits at all. We always bought, or the spoons and spinner baits and beetle spins for up here fishing. And I just got into trout fishing up there, and I met some buddies, and some of them have, really, really dove deep into it, and they had all the fly tying stuff. And one of them, my buddies, Thomas and Grayling, they taught me how to tie fly. And my first ever fly was a nymph, just a basic trout nymph. It was insanely ugly. It didn't look like anything. It had purple in it, silver, and like some sort of metal wrap on it. It was like a little midge. And I did end up actually catching a trout on it, which they thought was like impressive because it was just so ugly. And I remember naming it. I called it, because it had purple in it and it just looked weird, I called it the methamphetamine nymph. Little. And I got like a random picture of it, and I don't know where that nymph is. I probably lost it on a log jam out there, but I don't know. That was a random story, but
That's awesome.
it was cool catching one on the first ever, tied stuff. That's where I came about. I started tying my own stuff, as Brian knows, that we used to fish in the like driftless area near Eau Claire and fish all the streamers and nymphs that we made on our own, and then it progressed into bucktails for me. But that's all I've ever gotten into. I don't know if I'm gonna go down the rabbit hole at all of carving wood and all that stuff. That sounds like a lot of time. I don't know if I got that in me.
Stick with your Dolly Partons.
Yeah, I'll stick to the dollies.
Gus, where'd you go to college?
So I went to Montana State in Bozeman for a semester, and then I transferred to UW Eau Claire, and that's where I graduated from.
Nice. I went to Bozeman for a couple of years.
Oh, nice. Dang.
Yeah.
Small world there.
Very.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. I met a good group of guys out there that are from Montana, but some of the guys that I really keep in touch with, one's from South Carolina and one's from North Carolina. Pretty
crazy.
It's just wild, even from just the one. Yeah, it was pretty good getting becoming friends with somebody who in their freshman year brought their truck and drift boat to college. Made for some fun times. We had one day it was a casting.
Sound like good friends.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Perfect. That's awesome.
So Brady, I don't know if we touched on this with your Bowfin at all, but what's your internal harness on it? Is it just a straight wire? Do you have any flexibility to it, or what's kind of the profile?
So it is a straight wire, and I was all about flex harness. I like my pro dogs. Like when I was throwing a mag dog, it had to be a pro with the weight. But the amount of weight I put in the head of all my baits, it's all weight forward. It runs more like a flexible harness than the stiff ones, where they just glide and they hang there, just because of that weight where it's at. Eventually, I'm sure I'll play with flexible harness, but right now I don't see a reason to, just because I think it's because of where the last hook hanger is, that there's enough body behind it, plus the tails, that it looks like the whole bait itself has an arch to it in the water.
Yeah, I was just
Does that
about
make
to.
sense?
Yeah, I was just about to. Actually, you said what I was going to say.
I hold it.
Yeah, you got the
I hold
ass
it,
end of it,
and you can see the whole ass end instead of being up here. It hangs. Yep. So I mean, there's quite a bit of flex at the ass of it that when you throw it, I mean, it does that in the water as well.
Well, I'm actually excited to hear that you said straight wire, because our bread and butter are standard bulldogs, so that we can tweak them as needed.
Yourself.
I'm not a pro dog hater. I just don't throw them much. I don't know. I
understand.
I've watched people catch fish and, being in the same boat on a pro harness mag dog. And I don't know. It must be just like the way I work rubber. I know Max is the same. I don't know about you, Brian, so much. It's probably about the same based on how you work it. So
Brian keeps him guessing.
Depends on the day. Never know who's casting.
Depends how late his night was.
I mean, you can definitely bend the harness on mine. I have one guy that does fish mine with a bent harness. He bends the head down on them. I just recommend throwing them before you bend them. The head drop, I don't see a reason of bending it because with deuces and regular dogs, I did always bend the head down just to get that little bit more of a hop and head drop. But with these, I haven't. I've played with it. I've done everything you can to these things at this point, but I don't see the need to bend the head down because they'll almost roll around backwards if you bend the head down because all my weight is so far forward.
Okay, so you're pretty much telling me you have a rubber bait where you don't have to boil the tails, you don't have to get extra weighting kits. They already go head first. You don't even have to bend them like you do a Deusa. I'm probably missing something.
Yes, that's it. Yes. And I mean, if you do want to make my shallows deeper, I have the weighting harnesses for them. Or the extra weight for them.
Yeah, being able to customize right out of the gate is pretty key.
Yeah, I'm really trying to hit all the aspects with each bait. I know what I like, but I also know what everyone else likes. And I know different times of the year. Like this time of the year, even if I'm fishing deeper, like you were saying, you want it to move slower. So that's when I'll use my shallow, but I'll put weight on it because there's, it'll get down quicker, but it won't just completely drop to the bottom like my deep will.
Okay.
I've been playing long enough fishing that I know there's a time and a place for every bait out there, period. Like there is. I'm still going to throw a tube. I'm still going to, run a Bondi. I'm still going to do certain things. I like that my baits, I can hit most of those different aspects out of it.
Yeah. I mean, that's cool. I mean, I'm still going to find plenty of applications for throwing a Mag Dog and a Medusa, I'm sure, because they're going to, move a little bit differently.
Yes. I'm one of the bait builders, one of the very few bait builders. I'm not too proud to grab another bait and put it on my rod, if that makes sense. A lot of bait builders I see that fish, they only throw their baits. I want to catch fish when I'm if they're not going on a certain thing that day, I will throw a glide. I will throw a bucktail. I'm there to catch fish. There's time and a place for every single bait out there. Mine hits a lot of them, but there's also times when burning bucktails is what's going to catch the fish, period. Like that's just,
hands down. We've seen it too many times in the water that somebody just up front with the bucktail is just wreaking havoc the whole day. They're getting every fish. Every fish is coming after them. So probably a bad question, but have you ever thought of putting a third tail on that bait?
I thought about 6 tails, but I didn't know if that was too many.
More the merrier.
Well, how about send them up here? We'll dip them in the Fox River and they'll come out with 6 tails.
Yeah. New color, new paint job.
Honestly, I haven't thought of 3 tails. I've thought of a 1 tail version. I've thought of I have lots and lots and lots of ideas. It's just I can't make enough of this one right now to start my next idea, I guess, if that makes sense.
I got an idea for you, and this might not work at all. I'm just spitballing here.
Wait, hold on. Before you throw it out there, I don't want the whole world to hear it and somebody else steal the idea if it's a good one. Is it a good one?
Probably I don't know. Not. I'll wait and see the reaction. We're just spitballing.
No idea is a bad idea.
A double tail paddle tail.
I've already thought about
not out there. It ain't out there.
Listen, I've already thought about it, and I'm not saying no, but I'm saying it's going to take a lot to make it work correctly. But it would move a lot of water, so I'm not saying no.
You're the brains behind it, not me. I just got the idea.
You're going to cost me a lot of money. I start coming up with or trying to make all your ideas work.
That's why you can't listen to them all.
Oh God, love a little inside look at what's going on in Brian's brain every once in a while. It's always a treat.
It sounds expensive to me on the bait building
side. Brian is as I'm sure all the listeners know, Brian is our resident he's our bait guy. If we're out for a
kitchen
10-hour, if we're out, for a 10-hour day, Brian's the guy that turns the bait box upside down. I mean, he's throwing everything under the sun, and honestly, it's sometimes is what trips the trigger and turns a bad day to a good day. So like you were talking about,
everybody has to have that one.
Yeah,
everybody has to have that one person. That way, if something else is working, hopefully they figure it out so the rest of us can catch fish.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely loved what you said about that you're not too proud to reach in your tackle box and grab something else. I think it's really well said, and definitely a respectable thing to put out there, because like obviously your baits work. I mean, we just talked about them for a long time here tonight, but like you said, there's different applications at different times in muskie fishing, and that's just the reality of it. All right, well, I think we're kind of getting to that point here tonight. Unless Gus, Brian, you guys got anything else you want to touch on here before we wrap it up?
It kind of goes away from baits a little bit, but unless somebody's got something else on baits real quick.
All you.
So Brady, I know that you were recently I don't know, I can't remember the exact time. You're on the Muskie Hunks and you talked about bank yanking. And I know those boys love talking about that. That's not something that we do a bunch. I heard is that kind of how you started ish?
Yeah, I started from the bank, then a kayak, and then into boats. And I still kayak fish. I still bank yank every once in a while. But
I think you can get arrested for bank yanking in Wisconsin.
Well, it depends which kind.
Thinking about different bank yanking here, Max. We haven't heard that.
It might be different in Pennsylvania. I don't know.
Yeah. I've caught a couple very, very respectable fish bank yanking. There's certain times of the year where you're going to catch more from the bank than you are the boat.
Damn.
All right. So what? Dang. And that's mainly probably river fishing, in a
Correct.
sense.
Yeah, I'm not going to go do it on a lake for sure.
Okay, that's what I figured. So, since we have a bunch of listeners from the Midwest, and I know there's a bunch of people that shore fish like the Wisconsin River, tributaries of that, bunch of other rivers around here. What's you got a couple like tips from what you've learned, maybe like
wintertime eddies. For sure, throw a glide in an eddy and catch a fish. It's pick a prize is what I always said. When it comes to eddies on the river, when the water's cold.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm looking. We have a lot of dams on the Allegheny, so fish will stack up closer to the dams. It might be 3 eddies down or whatever. As they're moving up, but eddies, any slack water really, and then even some of that crazy fast water. I did something. I definitely didn't start it. I've seen other guys do it. Casting bondies. I used to cast bondies more than I would jig a bond and yo-yo it in.
Yeah.
I still to this day do that. I went to Lake St. Clair and caught 6 fish in one day, yo-yoing a bondy. The guy on the boat looked at me like I had 5 heads, because they're just like, why would you do that to yourself? Because it's not a fun way to fish, but
yeah,
it works. And I did that a lot from the bank.
Mm-hmm.
And then even our small rivers, our small creeks and stuff, I have spots where I'll bank fish or kayak fish. Kayak fishing, it holds a special place in my heart. I got a 49, 2 49.5s from the kayak. Like, I love going in the kayak, and zero electronics, zero, just nobody else around, just getting away and going and just fishing.
How the hell do you land a 49 on a kayak? What does that look like?
I did it. I do it standing up in mine. You just got to have the right kayak.
Yeah, like
I can net from a kayak better than I can from a boat. Because you're so close to the water, you just pull it back and you just put the net in, and I leave the net on the nose of my kayak, and I got pretty good at it for a while there.
What rod length do you use out of like a kayak or the shore?
I'm still 9 footer up. I started out with 8'6", but 9 foot, I like it just because I can figure 8 around the front of my kayak if I have a good follow. Yeah, a lot of guys that in the kayak side, they're like, "Oh, you want 7'6", 8 foot max." I like that. I still like the longer length. lift higher to net them. You know, that's the way I always look at it.
Yeah, because I've netted a few solo muskies, and even in the boat, with like a 9-footer, I've had to start grabbing up the rod. And I was just kind of curious because I've seen stuff that you need a shorter rod, and I don't know if that's always really the case. It's usually personal preference, but
Yeah.
one thing I was gonna ask is what do you like throwing your Bowfins on? Do you have like a rod length preference that you kind of like?
My large, I fell in love with 10-foot shock and awe 2020.
Okay.
That rod is, you definitely don't need their Moab for my Bowfins just because the weight of them.
Okay.
I want a Moab, but they don't make a 10-footer. And after I got a 10-footer, that's all I want. But my small one, I have a St. Croix Legend. What's the green ones? The Elite.
Legend Elites. Yep.
Yeah, so I have a 9-foot Elite. I throw my smaller Bowfin on that.
Oh,
but
okay,
yeah,
so,
definitely. I like the shock and awe for my bigger one.
Okay. Yeah, I figured probably X heavy for the big one and probably a heavy or X heavy for
Yeah,
the small
for
one,
sure.
really. I was trying to think if I got something else on river stuff around here. We don't do too much. I know Brian and we tried a few times in Eau Claire area. Bank yanking. We had no luck. We had no idea what the hell we were doing.
Well, bank yanking can get very expensive.
And
even with 100-pound braid, you get the wrong snag, there goes a bait.
So that's what I was just about to ask. Even with like the rubber baits, like you get snagged out there, you're screwed.
If you're bank yanking, you're pretty well screwed. I mean, unless you can straighten the hooks. But that's one thing with my baits. Every bait comes with a VMC and worth split rings. Like I use the best components I can buy for my liking, I guess I should say. Split ring wise, the worst that I use, they're the best I've found. And I like my VMCs. They come sharp, they're strong, and I know everybody has their preferences on hooks. I'm definitely not dissing anybody's hooks. Those VMCs though, every large bait, those hooks are $1 a piece. Like I don't skimp because I know what I like. So that's what I want to put out there is the best thing I can. I get a lot of messages after I ship a batch of baits out. Thank you for putting good hooks on your baits. I hear that constantly because we've all done it. You get a bait, the first thing you do is rip the hooks and split rings off and put good ones on.
Yep.
So I just figure I might as well do it right out of the gate, and I take a hit, on my end, but I want good stuff with my product.
No, that's good. That was the one thing I was missing when I was naming off all the things about your baits. I don't know when that was, a little bit ago, but do you know what exact VMCs those are? Because aren't they like
my large one is the 7-auto shanties.
Okay.
I get those from Muskie Tackle Online. My small ones are a 4-aught. Cannot remember the exact name. They're the skinnier shank. They're not the real heavy shank on the smaller one. 9-4
shorter
something.
shank or still the longer shank?
It's still a longer shank, but it's the skinnier diameter.
It's probably like what's on the new. I think it's the new plastic Suix. I think they throw some of those VMCs on it. Maybe.
Yeah, I can't remember the number, and I don't have my box down here. All my hooks are upstairs. I'm very, very lucky. I got a very supportive woman that does all the split rings and hook protectors on every one of the baits that I sell. So that stuff's upstairs with her table of hooks.
So, and Brett, what do you have anything other than that glide bait? Anything else in the works that you've been kind of thinking about, or maybe ideas you wanna or are able to share?
Yeah, I've got I think like Brady said, you have 1,000 ideas and you could spend hours and hours trying to perfect each one of them, and you'll never get anywhere. I've got a couple. I scaled. The first bait I did was a diamond rice bait, and that's at number 2. That's still probably the one I like the very most. But I mentioned, and then I did the glide baits. Then I had another buddy, that same one I mentioned earlier, that's super particular. And we did another dive and rise that you were talking about glitter earlier. So we've only done one. We're gonna do some more, and it's more round.
Ooh.
And so it's got a lot of
Max says
He says.
So coming from the tax world, I'm not a fan of glitter, and because it's when I'm trying to paint super realistic with wood baits, not now rubber's a totally different story, but this one had to have glitter. It's like no glitter. He's like, it's got to have glitter. So because I was doing it for him, I glittered this one up, and you can see there's just a whole bunch of stupid glitter on here, and it looks. But so I texted him when I got it done. I epoxied and sent a picture, and I liked it. I was adamant that I wasn't gonna, but I actually did. So the comment was, "Look, more glitter than an ugly stripper," and so it turned out to be a pole dancer. It's been so back to the name and baits, but yeah, that one.
That's a good name.
That's actually going to be a pretty cool bait, as much as I resisted making it, and so. I need to get some blanks done, but yeah, that one I hope to have half a dozen of them this spring.
Yeah,
Nice.
you can call that one. My real name's Candy.
Put my kids through college.
Oh man. All right. Well, we got Muskie Muskie show here in Wausau coming up. What do we get? We're probably a month away now from it.
Yeah.
About. So
yeah, 15, 16, 17.
Yeah, for all you guys that are listening to this, make sure to give Brady a nice warm welcome to Wisconsin. I think you're going to be received extremely well. So I'm excited. I'm hoping to get to the Wausau show. I'm over in Minneapolis, so a little bit of a haul for me, but hoping to get over there. I know Gus and Brian will be there. But I wish you some great success here at Muskie Max coming up, and then look forward to seeing you over in at the Wausau show.
Well, I appreciate it, but you better show up if you want that blotchy walleye.
Yeah, that's worth the drive, in my opinion.
He's gonna send you all those care packages so that you'll ship it to him. Remember?
I am getting thirsty over here, Max.
Oh, you bet your ass I'm showing up with the 30 rack.
Will they let you in with that?
Well,
it's Wisconsin.
Yeah, that's true. Sorry.
Have you ever been to a Ducks Unlimited event? They sell booze, guns, and ammo in the same building.
Sounds like heaven.
Yeah, no doubt. And so, Brett, I guess anyone that's looking to get in touch with you, we didn't really even dive into it, so we can edit this out if it's a dumb question. But how do people get in touch with you if they want, any to look at any of your stuff, or how does that work?
Yeah, I don't have a Facebook page. I did do so I'm pretty technologically behind, and so for some reason I thought I needed to have two different Instagram pages. One was gonna be personal and one was gonna be work, and or bait work, and they both turned into bait work. So yeah, you can find those. I think one is like WF Custom Lures, and then one is WF Custom _baits, and they both have bait stuff. That's probably the best way. Just shoot me a message there. I check it somewhat regularly, but I'm kind of slow. You'll have to forgive me.
Oh, good. And then Brady, if people want to get in touch with you, what's kind of the best way for them to do that?
Definitely Facebook at this point. My personal or my group is Bam Bam Bait Co. All capitalized. You have to ask, or you have to join the group. I just want to keep all the bullshit out of it, to be honest with you. All the ads and all the random stuff. If you want to post in my group, I got to approve it. If you want in it, I got to approve it. And then I have started posting a little bit on my Instagram. I have quite a bit of a following on there from back when I used to actually post everything. I am eventually going to switch that over to Bam Bam Bait Co. But that's Brady A. Martz on Instagram. But yeah, definitely the way to get a hold of me is either Brady Martz on Facebook or Bam Bam Bake Co.
So you're saying you wouldn't be a fan if I started a live scope discourse on your Facebook page?
You can try. I got to approve it, but
I'm totally kidding. I'm totally kidding. I'm totally kidding. I know those always just crack me up. Like every time I go on Facebook, there's some 360 comment thread on electronics and musky fishing that just cracks.
Are you still reading those?
No, it's just
I was going to say you have way too much time if you're still reading those, for the last 5 years.
If you want a good laugh, though, every once in a while, just poking through the comments is pretty good stuff. But yeah, anyways, go ahead. Sorry.
I said every time I see one of those posts, I just want to show the doll and say, "Show me on this doll where live scope touched you." That's all I want to say.
Last question, and then we'll wrap this up. But Bam Bam Bake Co. How did the name get started there?
My initials are Bam, and to be honest with you, when I came out with Bowfin, it literally started taking off overnight. Like as soon as I posted the first one, people went nuts. And my original Facebook group was, you are really going to laugh, back to the dating websites. It was muskyfarmersonly.com. Just a smart ass. There was nothing but, Photoshops. I'm quite a professional Photoshopper. So that's all it was. It was just a bunch of idiots in there. And I would sell, the different painted baits I did, my lipless, a couple glides I did. And then I just I needed a Facebook name, or I needed a name for them. Like, honestly, that's where it came from, was just Bam Bam Bake Co. And I like it. There's days I was like, I should have named it something else. But honestly, my initials being Bam, I put them on the ass of the bait, figured it worked.
It's good for like a, I don't know the English term, but like a muskie eating the lure, bam. It's
exactly. Yeah, there's a million ideas that go with it. Whenever you guys are filming or whatever, when you're out fishing, you get a hook set, you have to say bam from now on, though.
It's just like insert the comic book, like
the
screen, the bam, that should be kind of
absolutely
funny. That'd be pretty cool. I was gonna just ask just a quick question for you, Brady. What's the furthest place that you've sent your bait as of last year to now? Like, who's the furthest away that has one of your baits?
There's quite a few up in Canada now at this point. Those guys, I feel so bad shipping them anything. Because they got to cover shipping. The shipping's as much as the bait is. And honestly, the shipping is the same price as the bait. I have sent some to Ryan Elizondo out he fishes for tigers. Can't remember what state that even is now.
Washington,
but
Washington,
Oregon,
yes,
Washington, Idaho,
that's
Washington,
yeah. But lately, my group has been blowing up from the boys from Wisconsin, so I'm excited to bring the baits to them.
Mm-hmm.
I really am. I've sent baits to about every state with muskie in them already at this point. It seems like
that's damn impressive. And I in that Road Rules event that I was just at, where Nate Osfer also spoke. I don't need to, give away the stuff in his presentation, but he did mention your bait already. So Nate
was he was on him very, very fast. We all know Nate likes to throw rubber.
Yep.
He got one, threw it, and the messages started. Nate wanted more and more and more and more and more. And we also know Nate does how well he does with PMTTs. It's hard to tell Nate no. And yeah, his, I know just the amount of friends he sent to my group that, been all supportive. Honestly, I'm just blown away and very, very thankful that, how this is all going right now. It's hard to wrap your head around as quick as it's all moving for me, honestly.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's awesome, man. And I know I can't remember when I was added to the Bam Bam Facebook group, but all I know is that I think I was a part of it while we were still fishing here. And every time you posted for the inn, or how, I can't remember exactly how you did it.
It was most of them were first to comment. Yeah, it was just that was the fairest way I knew how to do for the most part. I did do a couple draw to buys, which everybody just comments in. top how 20 people win to buy a bait.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to do it fairly.
Right. I mean that I tried so hard, even with post notifications on. I was always either out of service or fishing or screwing up in some ways, so I never got a chance. Max and I did get to see in person. Our buddy Rowan had one.
Oh yeah,
We watched him.
Yeah. Rowan did get to grab a couple off him. Yeah.
Yep. So we did get to see
like I
firsthand.
said, well, that's good that you got to see one. I think he got all shallows. So.
Yep.
But yeah, I hope to up production. Like I said, I'm putting every penny back into this at this point. I'm just trying to make it so I can get more out there to more people for to fish them. That's all I want is these baits to be fished.
That's perfect. That's a great business model right there. I think everybody can get behind that for sure. So
yeah, I mean, as long as the fish pictures keep coming, I'll keep pouring.
Well, sweet, man. We
Good
really look
stuff.
forward to seeing you at Wausau and Brett. Hopefully, I can see you at Milwaukee, or maybe are you gonna attend Minneapolis show?
Yes, that one for sure.
Okay.
I won't have a thing, but we'll definitely be there.
Okay, sounds good. But yeah, I know Max and I will be at the Minneapolis show. So if I don't run into you in Milwaukee, I'll see you over there in Minnesota. Second weekend of March or something, I think it is. It's that weekend between Muskie Max and Wausau.
Yep.
All right. Well, we cannot thank you guys enough for taking time out of your schedule. From I see that you're still in your toxins basement, Brady, though. Hopefully you're doing all right, and the bush lights are keeping
I'm
you
definitely
alive.
good down here. Bush lights are keeping me kicking.
Okay, we're gonna have to check on both of you when you guys are talking about the rubber and the painting and stuff. I'm like, oh my god, how are you guys still standing? Like a automatic filter in your nose already or something? But that's awesome.
That's what the beard does. The beard protects me from smoke.
You got any glitter in there?
Right.
You got any glitter in there?
My basement does look like a strip club. I will tell you that.
It's amazing how protective bush light can be. It's actually incredible.
It pretty much cures everything, I think.
Yeah. You're not sick anymore, right?
No, I'm pretty good right now. At least we'll see how the morning feels. I got to get up for work at 4:30, and it's now on my time zone is 10:30, so I should be.
Jesus, I should be all right.
Well, we won't keep you any longer.
Get a couple.
I'm normally still pouring, so we're good.
Well, we can't thank you both enough for joining us here tonight. This was a lot of fun, and looking forward to staying in touch. And yeah, best of luck with everything, you guys.
Yeah,
thank you guys for having us on.
Absolutely.
Yeah, of course. Anytime. All right, guys, we cannot thank Brady and Brett enough for coming on here tonight and taking time out of their busy schedules. As you kind of heard, Brady's been pouring his heart out into making these baits, to get ready for the Muskie Max and the Wausau show, and he just got done with the New York show. So he's a busy man. And Brett's been as you heard and maybe have seen if you're looking at any of the Instagram posts from Brett and Brady as well, have been painting up some just phenomenal paint jobs on the Bowfin and even on Brett's baits as well. Super realistic. So we just had an absolute blast talking with them. That's our, other than Owen last week, we really haven't had bait builders on to talk about baits. So that was pretty exciting. In perfect season for it's February. We got Muskie Expos. Everybody's on just bait buying mode if you're in the states of closed seasons for Muskie. So that was a good chat. So boys, what did you take away from tonight's chat from all the stuff that we talked about?
Well, I learned that anytime Brady or Brett held up a bait in front of their Zoom camera here, Max went oof and leaned forward in his chair. So I know you guys can't see what they're holding up, but check out their Instagram. His reaction was very valid. These are beautiful baits these guys are making. I thought it was cool to see. I mean, again, listeners weren't able to see this, but kind of how Brady makes his rubber baits. He kind of showed us his setup on his workbench. I had no, I mean, I had an idea or a thought of kind of how they were made, rubber baits were made in the industry, but to kind of see his setup was really cool. Hear them talk about all the different types of rubber and paint and the drying process. A lot of good detail that they went through. So yeah, very informative. And I think I found one of my opener baits this year,
Nice.
Nice.
Which one is that?
Is it the
the
glider
shallow.
or the
Yeah.
shallow
Oh,
Bam Bam?
I don't think I'm getting my hands on that glider, the batch of two.
Right.
I'd
Yeah.
like to, but
Sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
the shallow Bowfin. I'm thinking hopefully I can get one in Wausau.
The BJ, the
Yeah.
Bowfin Junior.
Yeah, the beach.
Yeah.
How about you, Max?
I would say it was cool to hear from both of them, obviously, but it was with Brady talking about like this crazy quick success that he's having, making baits, how quickly it exploded. I kind of touched on in the interview, but it's like funny how there is this like appetite in the muskie community for always something new, something different. So I'm glad, it's all warranted. Like the baits look awesome. I'm really excited to fish them. It's something new to add to the arsenal. But yeah, I mean, other than that, learned a little bit about how lures are made, how much time it takes. I mean, it gives you a whole new appreciation. Talking about how, maybe a half a day for a handful of lures of these custom paint jobs, definitely, like I said, just kind of gives you a newfound appreciation, makes swiping that credit card, I think, a little bit easier, or handing over a little pile of cash because how much work and effort went into the process behind it. You hear these guys, they have full-time jobs. They're doing this literally out of the love for the muskie industry in a way. And it's pretty cool to hear all about it. So yeah, I'd say that was my biggest takeaway, and looking forward
Dang.
to seeing them at the shows. What's up?
I thought for sure you were gonna say your favorite part was listening to Brady talk about bank yanking. I'm shocked.
I was gonna I was gonna be like, so do you bank yank like and then go fishing, or how does that
Oh my God.
Well, I heard him. He was talking about bank yanking in the winter. I'm like, damn, that's gotta present quite a
Cold.
challenge.
Yeah.
Outside? Jeez.
Snowmobile layers are thick, Yeah, bank yanking was a whole, I've never heard that terminology before. That was good shit.
Oh yeah.
Thanks for bringing that up. But yeah, no, I mean, another long formatted pod here for you to edit tonight in the next few days, Gus, Brian. Thanks for coming on tonight with us and
Yeah.
hanging in there. I know you're in your kind of busy season right now. So how you holding up, man? How you holding up?
Oh,
You doing
shit,
all right?
man. Yeah, everything's dandy over here. Yeah,
Yeah.
you know. Yep, yep. We're
We
we're
did,
putting in the work now to, hopefully open up some more fishing time in the summer. So,
which we heard
Attaboy.
we're going to be able to do one of our favorite tournaments this year together.
that's true. Breaking news. Watch out.
Yeah.
Boys are back.
Well, before we get in that, are you guys gonna ask me my favorite part of the pod here tonight?
Oh,
Sorry,
fine.
Gus. What was your favorite pod? What'd you learn? Sorry, I'm a little delusional. I honestly thought that you you did it, and then so yeah. What
It's
was
Getting late out
okay.
here.
well, yeah,
I didn't want to
what
say
was
anything
the-
anyways.
What'd you
I didn't
learn,
even
Gus?
like it. I'm just
What'd you
kidding. I did find out that if you drink enough Busch Lights that you don't have toxins going through your nose and you get delusional,
You didn't know
just
that?
like Brady. No, I didn't. No, that's
Facts.
crazy. I know Busch Light was pretty. It's heavily responsible for making people feel better, making them feel just a lot of routes, but I didn't know it had anything to do with toxins and bait building rubbers. So that was good to hear.
Largely rejected by the medical communities for some reason, but if you know, it works.
Yeah.
Peach Busch Lights don't do that though. Too fruity. You got to drink the hard stuff.
What's wrong with the peach like Bush heavies you're talking?
Nah, them Busch Lights.
You don't want to mess around with the Bush heavies, man.
Nah,
Oh,
bring you
for
to a
sure.
dark place in a hurry.
Jeez. No, I really I just thoroughly enjoyed that talk. I definitely I think when you guys touched on, I really enjoyed hearing about the process of making those baits and hearing like how much time and effort that these guys are, putting into the to the baits. And that's another thing that kind of opened my eyes. And it was last week too when we talked to Owen. It's pretty cool getting a bait that somebody handcrafted and they designed themselves. They sent out to the community to get tested by multiple people, and they're just like, or like you go to a show, like Owen was saying, it's cool to catch something on a bait that you shook that guy's hand and he personally made. So I mean, I think I think he's going to be well received at Wausau. That show is heavily influenced by small batch bait makers. So, no, I'm not knocking neither the small batch or the large batch or the big companies, but just do the small batch bait makers a hand here this winter, and get one from them. And it could be Brady, could be Brett, could be somebody totally, it could be Owen, it could be somebody totally different that you see at one of the shows or you find online. Just give them a little bit of support. I think that's important in this community. And then well, you got a fish picture to send to them, as you could hear from Brett and Brady. They love getting those fish pictures. So yeah, that was pretty cool. But back to what you asked before, Max. Yes, the Mott boys are going to be doing their favorite tourney, the National Championship Muskie Open in August.
Boom, boom,
The Alliance tourney,
boom.
the one that's held with like 7 Lake family groups and over 1,000 people sign up for it. The more of kind of like the event to bring awareness to like muskie fishing and all that stuff. It's a fun one. I'm looking forward to that
Cutthroat.
one.
Yeah, we'll touch on that in a few months from now. But that was just kind of exciting news. But anyways, you boys got anything else before we put a bow on this one?
Nah, I think if you guys it would be sweet if you could tell a friend, write a review for the podcast, subscribe, share it. That would be amazing. If you guys could check out our Instagram, Muskies on Tap, that would be great. We've been doing the bait of the week. Max just put up the one recently on the Big O's bucktails. That's dropping every Monday. Otherwise, you can check out my socials, Suggs Fishing on Instagram, Suggs Fishing Guide Service on Facebook. If you want to get in touch with me about fishing in the area of Eagle River, Vilas, Oneida County, I'll be more than happy to take you out. Love taking out, if you're looking for your first or biggest or whatnot. So just looking forward to the season to come. And yeah, also excited to bring the Mott hats, the Muskies on Tap hats, to the shows. I'll be at Milwaukee Muskie Expo, the Minneapolis show, the Minnesota Muskie Expo shortly after. And then the next weekend after that is Wisconsin Muskie Expo, I think it's called, the one in Wausau. I think it's in like Rothschild or something is where it's held. I can't remember the place. Milwaukee's going to be new to me. Minneapolis is going to be new to me, but I'm looking forward to meeting all you guys out there. And yeah, I think that touches on everything for what's happening. So I think with that being said, Brian, you want to take us away?
All right, everybody. Thank you for listening to this episode of Muskies on Tap. Shout out to Brady and Brett for coming on this week's rendition. Learned some incredible things from them. Make sure to check out their baits and paint jobs at the shows this winter. Coming up just around the corner. Stay off those banks at night this time of year. You might find someone spanking. Also, show season does not go hand in hand with bank yanking. Keep those jollies in check there. Good night, everybody.
Oh, my God.